The door opened with a sound like a throat clearing. A red light spilled out, soft and wrong, coating the carpet as if someone had spilled blood and tried to clean it with roses. Anna stood frozen. The whisper came from inside, not from a person but from the walls. It said her name, then another name she didn't know. Shapes moved in the red glow, shadow people caught mid-motion, repeating the same gestures forever. Then they stopped and all turned to look at her. "Pick a door," one voice said. The red light vanished, leaving the hallway yellow and dull again. The door closed by itself. Anna stared at it, her breath loud in her own ears. Then from the next room over came a soft knock, slow, polite, almost gentle. That was when she realized she was standing in the Blood Room Hotel, the place that was supposed to be only a rumor. She hadn't planned to stay. Her car broke down on the interstate after midnight, rain hammering the windshield. The only sign of light came from a flickering neon ahead. Blood Room Hotel, vacancy. The desk clerk smiled too quickly, gave her a brass key with the number 7 on it and said, "We keep the late ones." She thought he meant guest. The hallway to her room was long, burgundy, and padded, so even her footsteps sounded shy. The doors looked the same, each with a tiny brass number and a peephole that almost seemed to blink. She unlocked room 7. It smelled of cedar and lemon polish. A paper on the nightstand read, "If you hear knocks, do not answer more than 3 times." She laughed, a nervous kind of laugh. The first knock came at 1:13 a.m. 2 light raps. Then another. By the third knock, her pulse was counting faster than the clock. She looked through the peephole and saw another door instead of the hallway. Then people appeared, lined up, silent, in old-fashioned clothes. One of them mouthed words she could not hear. Then the fourth knock came, breaking the hotel's own rule. On the nightstand lay a card she hadn't noticed before. "Each door has a different nightmare." A phone number was printed on the back, but it didn't look real. She grabbed her bag, intending to leave. The hallway looked the same, yet not the same. The brass numbers above each door now glowed faintly red, pulsing like slow heartbeats. At the front desk, the clerk was polishing another brass key identical to hers. He smiled without warmth. "Some doors like company," he said. "Some like to keep a record." Anna didn't ask what that meant. She tried the front door, locked. No signal on her phone. Outside, the neon reflected on wet asphalt like veins of red light. She decided to count the doors to prove the hallway was normal. 9, 10, 11. Then 12. Then 14, no 13. But a door with no number stood between them, slightly open. Curiosity outweighed fear. Inside, the room was lined with mirrors. The reflections lagged behind her movements. A radio sat on a table. It turned on by itself. A hand from the mirror reached out and wound the crank. The song that played wasn't a song she knew, slow, mournful, almost pleading. She stepped back and slammed the door shut. Her breath came fast, heartbeat roaring in her ears. On the nightstand lay the same card again, now at the foot of her bed. Someone had written under it in shaky ink, "Do not choose room 13." The hallway stayed silent. The lamps buzzed softly. Somewhere across the hall, someone began counting in a whisper, in a language she didn't recognize. When they reached 13, the wall between her room and theirs began to bleed. A dark, wet stain bloomed across the wallpaper. Anna froze. Then, from the red room at the far end of the hall, a voice called her name, slow and certain, as if the hotel itself had finally found her. The scream echoed down the hall long after it should have stopped. When Anna opened her eyes, the door in front of her had changed again. The number was gone, replaced by deep claw marks gouged into the wood. From the cracks, a dark, syrupy liquid oozed out and dripped to the floor. She staggered back, pressing her hand over her mouth to stop another scream. The air smelled like metal, like old pennies and rust. Then, somewhere behind her, another door clicked open by itself. "Hello," she whispered, her voice trembling. The sound of her own voice seemed wrong, swallowed by the corridor instead of echoing. She turned and saw that the hallway stretched farther than before, impossibly long. The wallpaper rippled, patterns moving like veins beneath skin. As she walked forward, her shoes squelched in the red puddles forming on the carpet. Every few feet, the lights above flickered, showing glimpses of shadows just out of reach. They moved when she didn't. A faint music box tune drifted through the air. It was soft at first, a lullaby that might have been comforting if it hadn't been echoing through an empty hotel. Anna followed the sound until she found a cracked door labeled Room 3. Inside, the air was cold enough for her breath to fog. The room looked abandoned, dusty furniture, a broken mirror, but the music box sat in the center of the bed, spinning. The lid was open and a small porcelain dancer turned in slow, uneven circles. She stepped closer, her heart pounding. The dancer's face was chipped, but its eyes glowed faintly blue. When Anna reached for it, the music stopped. The room fell completely silent. Then the mirror on the wall rippled like water. For a moment, Anna saw herself, but her reflection was smiling when she wasn't. Its head tilted, eyes black and empty, and the reflection raised its hand, pressing against the other side of the mirror. Anna stumbled back as cracks spread across the glass like lightning. She ran out of room 3, slamming the door behind her. The music box started again, playing faster now, the tune warping into dissonant notes. Down the hall, she heard footsteps, someone walking slowly but steadily toward her. "Front desk," she whispered, remembering the clerk. Maybe he could help her. She ran toward the lobby, but every time she turned a corner, the hallway shifted. The doors rearranged themselves, numbers blinking and changing like they were alive. When she finally reached the front desk, the clerk wasn't there. The lights above buzzed faintly, and the bell on the counter trembled by itself. Behind the counter was an old guest book. The pages were yellowed, filled with names written in shaky handwriting. She turned a page, then froze. Her name was there. Anna Lewis, room 3. But below it, fresh ink glistened. Checked out, 1:47 a.m. Her pulse raced. That was the current time. Suddenly, the phone on the counter rang. The sound was shrill, cutting through the silence. She hesitated, then picked it up. "Hello?" A voice whispered on the other end, low, wet, and distant. "Don't let them open the red door." Anna's throat went dry. "What door?" she asked. Click. The line went dead. When she set the phone down, she noticed the old brass keys behind the desk. One of them was glowing faintly red. It had no number on its tag, only a single drop of dried blood. Against every instinct screaming at her to run, Anna picked up the key. The moment she touched it, the lobby lights flickered violently. A shadow flashed across the far wall, tall, wrong, and moving too fast to follow. The temperature dropped. She looked at the old hallway behind her, and for the first time she noticed a door she hadn't seen before. Large, red, and pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. It stood at the end of the hall, waiting. Her hand shook as she lifted the key toward it. Every step closer, the air grew heavier, as if the hotel itself was holding its breath. The red door shimmered with a wet sheen, and faint whispers leaked from behind it, voices calling her name, repeating it softly, almost lovingly. "Anna? Anna?" Her legs trembled. When she reached the door, the whispers stopped. A single heartbeat thumped from the other side. Then something pressed back. She screamed and dropped the key. It clattered to the floor and rolled away into the darkness. The heartbeat behind the door grew louder, faster, until it sounded like something running toward her. She turned and bolted for the stairs, but the floor shifted beneath her, becoming soft like wet carpet. She fell and the wall seemed to close in. Somewhere, faintly, she could hear the music box again, playing that same broken tune. Then just before she blacked out, she heard a voice, the same whisper from the phone. "You opened it." Anna's eyes snapped open. She was lying on the carpet of the lobby, but the colors were all wrong. The lights were blue, cold, and the air buzzed like static. The bell on the counter rang by itself. She stood shakily, realizing the desk, the chairs, the walls, everything, looked slightly off, like a reflection of the real hotel. The paintings on the walls showed her own face, twisted in silent screams. She turned one over, and on the back in red ink was written, "You've been here before." A door creaked open behind her. It was the red one again. But this time it was different. The heartbeat had stopped. Instead there was breathing. Slow, deep, like something waiting just out of sight. She wanted to run, but her legs felt heavy, like wading through mud. The air reeked of old blood and burning wood. A soft, female voice came from behind the door, her own voice. "Come see what you left behind, Anna." She took a step back, trembling. No. The door handle turned by itself. She ran, but the hallways no longer made sense. Doors multiplied, stretching endlessly in both directions. Every door had her name carved into it, and behind each one, faint whispers echoed her cries. The wallpaper peeled, revealing hundreds of eyes watching her move. She stumbled past a mirror and saw herself walking behind her, only her reflection was smiling. Then the reflection raised its hand and waved. She burst into another hallway, this one flooded ankle-deep in dark water. The lights above reflected on the surface like crimson stars. Something brushed against her leg. She froze, peering into the murky reflection. A pale face was floating beneath, its eyes wide open. The face looked exactly like hers. It whispered, "Wake up." The lights exploded in a shower of sparks, and Anna screamed as cold hands shot from the water, grabbing her ankles. She fought free, stumbling into a door that slammed shut behind her. She found herself in what looked like her childhood bedroom, down to the posters, the bedspread, the smell of old perfume. But everything was tinted red like a darkroom photograph. A doll sat in the corner, its porcelain face cracked. It started whispering, "Room 13, room 13, room 13?" Anna turned toward the door. It was labeled 13 now. The handle pulsed faintly like a living vein. She reached for it and froze. From beneath the door came a trickle of blood, spreading across the floor toward her bare feet. The doll began laughing now, its voice childlike and distorted. "You shouldn't have checked in, Anna?" Her reflection appeared again in the mirror, smiling wider than humanly possible. Then a voice echoed through the walls, soft but final, "The next door is waiting." The blood pooled faster, swallowing the floor. And when Anna blinked, she was standing in front of another door, clean, golden, numbered 14. It slowly began to open by itself.